I just got back from Flint. Yeah, that Flint. I saw that dirty water with my own eyes. But not to my surprise, Governor Snyder, you're not much of a provider, 'cause Flint ain't fixed.
Every single child in Flint.
Flint ain't fixed.
10,000 children
Flint ain't fixed.
had drank the lead.
Flint ain't fixed. The children up there are sick. The lead in the water is thick. Flint ain't fixed.
I wasn't born here, and we came to this country very much for that American dream. And, you know, with nothing besides education. You know, my dad was a GM employee, my mom was a teacher, benefited from, you know, union contracts, sent their kids to Michigan's public schools. The American dream worked for us. It worked for me and my family the way that it does not work for the kids that I take care of in my clinic every day. They are literally waking up to a nightmare of injustice, poverty, lost democracy, and that is another lesson we need to learn from Flint.
Maybe that's why it's called a dream, because it's not a reality for everybody.
No, it's not.
Right?
Yeah, there are multiple Americas.
You decided that was people are scared to challenge you.
You deploy because your nation sends you to these places. And then one day you come home and you realize it was all a lie. Our town is dying. 1 out of every 4 homes is an abandoned, dilapidated structure, and you get told, keep picking up trash and let leaders do what leaders do. Elected leaders in our towns, in our states, in our country, absolutely are self-serving. They have no idea of what it's like for a single parent to put food on the table for her child. You know, you come home and you realize that I can take you 5 minutes from here and show you where kids have it worse than the kids I saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's why I come back here and I started speaking up for the things that I believe in, and I will not shut up for nobody. And I don't give a shit who you are. I'll fight you in the damn street right now.
Okay,
I'm sick and tired of people telling me that America is the greatest country because we can whip your ass. We don't have health care for everybody. We don't have that. We have homelessness that's everywhere. We have an opioid epidemic that has absolutely destroyed our communities, has killed more people last year than all the lives lost in the Vietnam War, and we're not willing to go to war against Big Pharma.
how come we don't have more people like you on our side?
We do. Let me tell you something. There are many people out there.
Where are they?
My name's Alexandria. I'm running for Congress here. Yeah. I looked at the match between our representation, our community, the special interests that are kind of hurting what's going on here. And then I looked around and saw that the seat hadn't been challenged in 14 years. It really just felt like if nobody's gonna do it, then I gotta do it.
My name is Rashida Tlaib. I'm running for the U.S. Congress.
I'm running to become their next congressman in the midterm elections.
I'm here doing this because listening to the speeches at the Women's March inspired me.
I'm a professional backyard chicken farmer. I had never run before.
And you're an author?
It's just a how-to book called My Pet Chicken. In the back I have recipes.
I believe that in a modern, moral, and wealthy society, no person in America should be too poor to live. That's what I think.
It's simple. Her views, her policy positions are actually downright scary. Let's see, single-payer, universal health care, universal jobs, government-subsidized housing, free colleges. She wants to abolish ICE and, of course, impeach President Trump.
I don't think he knows how to deal with a girl from the Bronx.
We'll see.
People always say, you gotta wait your turn, Rashida. And I was like, what turn? I didn't know there was a line. I'm actually running for Congress. Hi, sweetie. You probably also see me get kicked out of the Trump rally. Donald Trump was coming. He was less than a couple miles from my house. We found out that the Detroit Economic Club was not going to allow questions. First time ever in history. Well, we were taken aback by that. Why can't we ask questions?
Detroit.
So 12 women came there and every 2 minutes interrupted.
In terms of violent crime.
Asking questions about what is his stance on labor organizing? What's his stance on sexual harassment?
Today I will outline my economic vision. In the coming weeks, my campaign is about reaching out to everyone as Americans and returning to a government that puts the American people first.
My question was, have you read the Constitution? What part of the Constitution? That was the most American thing I could have done. A lot of my colleagues said, oh, it's a little too aggressive. A Democratic state senator called and said, do you think that was really necessary? And two of my Republican colleagues were like, really proud of you, girl. You know, I don't agree with everything, but good for you. There's a sense of respect, ironically, from the other side for the way I approach issues.
One thing was abundantly clear. These candidates were fighters.
People deserve someone who are going to fight for the people and not for corporations.
To be able to encourage someone to run for office, man, it is truly the lack of political will from our Democrats, and their backbone is literally just missing, right? And you put both of those components together, and then on top of that, you taking money from the same folks the Republicans taking money from. The Democratic Party should be recruiting extraordinary, ordinary Americans that actually get on the same bus as their constituents. Actually have kids in those public schools and understand what it feels like for a teacher not to get paid real salaries or lack of resources, right?
The definition of electoral insanity is trying to re-elect these same guys over and over again and expecting our country to be any different.
For the first time, Democrats will have an all-female statewide ticket. And on that list, Rashida Tlaib. She is poised to become the first Muslim woman in Congress.
We're not ready to give up on the party. We're just ready to take it over. And let's put some people in there that get it, because we felt the
Take
pain.
it over.
Take it over. Take it over, Michael.
It was already being taken over. Hundreds, if not thousands, of insurgent candidates, many of them women. They weren't just running against Republicans. They were running against the establishment of the Democratic Party that has led them to defeat for so many years. This old guard had tried to keep the candidates on the moderate side of things, to stay in the center, to not rock the boat. In other words, to lose.
51% of people between 18 and 29 no longer support the system of capitalism.
Well, I thank you for your question. But I have to say, we're capitalists, and that's just the way it is.
The we who are capitalists, is she talking about her constituents? Or maybe she means the people who fund the Democratic Party. They enlisted their friends in the media to tamp down the democratic revolution that was underway.
I think the party moved too far to the left.
Much farther to the left and out of touch with working class voters.
And if her win makes her into what Kellyanne Conway called the new face of the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party is not going to have a very bright future.
The worst damage happens behind closed doors, where Democratic Party leaders do their best to stomp out the hopes and dreams of those who would like the Democrats to actually win. Take the case of Levi Tillemann of Colorado, a Democrat who was running for Congress. Levi was struggling because the Democratic leaders threw all of the party's money behind a more moderate, hand-picked candidate. So Levi secretly recorded his conversation with the #2 Democratic leader in the House, Steny Hoyer, who then schooled Levi on how this all works.
Levi, I want to talk to you about this congressional race.
You would like me to get out of the race?
That's correct.
Yeah. I know you're fundraising for Crow.
I am for Crow because a judgment was made very early on.
Very early on, before voters had to say, that's fine, because the DCCC knows better than the voters of the 6th Congressional District, and we should line up behind that candidate.
That's certainly the consequence of our decision.
I mean, it's undemocratic to have a small elite select someone and then try to rig the primary against the other people running, and that is basically what's been happening.
I hear you, and I disagree.
But you were part of that process as well.
Absolutely.
You said
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
I've been at this a long time.
My name is Alexandria. Getting on the ballot, we ended up rolling into the Board of Elections, and we turned in almost 5 times the required amount of signatures. On the street? We left, and within 15 minutes, these like super high-priced lawyers came rolling into the Board of Elections, demanding to pull our files, looking through every single one,
Democratic Party.
looking through to see who they could bump off.
I'm running a grassroots campaign. I'm not accepting money from Big Pharma and Big Energy. You know, my team, I have received messages from people all over America that says, who's running your campaign? And when I tell them, they are floored.
What do you mean by who's? What you mean, like who's your campaign director, your finance director?
My campaign manager drives a truck across, he's a cross-country truck driver. Right now, he's in North Carolina driving a truck.
I mean, that's his full-time job.
And he's another person that will fist fight you in the street for what he believes in.
No, I have to fight 2 of you in the street. Fuck, come on, you get it.
It's how we roll down here in West Virginia.
You don't have to be ex-military to have the fighting spirit. Sometimes the bravest people are the ones you'd least expect.
When you're a teacher in West Virginia, you're so much more than a teacher. We're social workers. You know, we're mothers. I know last year I teach seniors. There were 8 students in my class that had me in their cell phone as mom. That was how I was listed in their contact. So,
as mom?
Mom. Yes. You were the mother figure because their mother abandoned them 5 years ago. Their mother died of a drug overdose. I've had all of these situations that's happened. But we still live paycheck to paycheck simply because we don't make hardly any money.
The teacher's pay in West Virginia is ranked 48th out of the 50 states. Some of these teachers live below the poverty line and qualify for food stamps.
I think every teacher in West Virginia knows several that's in that situation.
In addition to teachers being on food stamps, things were about to get even worse. Not only was their health insurance going to double,
they also started this thing called Go365. It's a kind of a wellness program.
Go what?
Introducing Go365.
To even get health insurance, teachers were being forced to buy and wear a Fitbit device. The Fitbit would track all their physical activity all the time. And if you don't register enough steps into the online database,
Then you pay a $500 penalty at the end of the year.
you know how weird this sounds? Like how darkly strange and wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
And who was behind this tracking the teachers idea? A man named Justice. Governor Jim Justice.
Nobody loves education more than me. Nobody loves our teachers more than me.
Tonight in Pineville, a meeting was held to discuss changes to the Public Employees Insurance Agency.
If the Fitbits could measure pissed off West Virginian teachers, they'd be lighting up right about now. But the leaders of the teachers union weren't much help. They discouraged a statewide strike.
Our union reps, they've told us about all the risks. We could lose our job, we could lose our seniority, we could lose a day's pay, we could lose all these things. I just said, guys, listen, the eyes of West Virginia are on us right now. If we can just have the courage to step out, other counties will follow.
This was the chilly scene outside Point Harmony Elementary Friday morning. Upwards of 50 teachers lining the sidewalk, all on a mission.
The teachers decided on their own to go out on strike and do it by themselves. One